this working? Am I live? Looks like I'm live. I don't know how to edit the... Hello? Hello? Okay, that works. Sweet. All right. I'm not streaming games with that, so how do I fix that? How do I pop up the chat window here? Oh, there's the chat. Marissa, hi. Welcome to the stream. Today we're cooking. We're not gaming. I mean, we'll be gaming later, but for now we're cooking. I'm making a couple hot sauces for the restaurant I work at. Hot sauce has been something that people have been requesting for a while now to kick up a bit of the heat, and we've been offering a local hot sauce, super good. It's called Cosmic Coyote. Let me grab a bottle so you can see. We got this sauce, Cosmic Coyote, intergalactic hot sauce. It's habanero, yellow pepper, a little bit of ghost and Thai chili in there as well. Super good. Um, yeah, it's available online at our store where you place orders for takeout food. Um, but I'm trying to make our own sauces as well. Something that we can offer to tables who want food or sauce with their food, and then we're talking about maybe bottling it for the future when the shop closes up for the season. Maybe it's something we can just offer as a retail option for people if it's good enough. So I got to make sure it's good. So I'm gonna try making it and see how it goes. Now, the first sauce I'm making is fermented habaneros, and yeah, I just grilled them all off. So far, this is 10 pounds of fresh habaneros. Just grilled them, didn't do anything special with that. Just try to get a good char on them as possible. Kind of all over. Some I left a little bit. I like the idea of maybe it's just a bit more. Some inconsistencies sound like they're pretty good in these kind of things. Doesn't necessarily have to be like totally blackened because yeah, this way you might be able to get a bit more flavor, like still a little bit under, and then some like yeah, like fully blasted. So what I did in addition to the habaneros, there's red onion and rainbow carrot in here. Just sliced the carrots. No, the recipe I was looking at says to leave them unpeeled, so I did that. And I think peels help with fermentation. That's like, for example, tepache, which is a pineapple drink. It's made out of just the rind of the pineapple, and you dissolve that with a little bit of sugar and water. Lots of things you can add with that, but the main idea is the high acidity and the bacterial cultures on the pineapple rinds create a fermentation effect when left steeping with that sugar and spice mix over extended period of time. Some of this stuff you can't necessarily say it's this many days. You've got to just keep an eye on it. Good fermentation develops a little bit of like a white foam at the top. It creates a natural carbonation, so you should see bubbles start to rise. That's what's creating that foam. And yeah, those are all signs of good ferments. So yeah, the pineapple tepache, that's a really cool one. We'll get around to doing that eventually. We've been going through a lot of pineapples, so I've been saving the rinds for that reason. Maybe something we can do for a cocktail when we're allowed to have the patio open again. So yeah, that's the start. I did also roast the garlic. And I shouldn't say I roasted it because I confit it. So what I did was I take canola oil, that's what's in here, just enough to cover the cloves, and just simmer that low and slow for a while. Eventually, it just darkens the garlic. And what I like doing about this too is that now it just creates like a garlic oil we could use for something else. And yeah, now we have our like darkened, soft garlic. Yeah, I figured roasted garlic's got such a nice sweetness to it. It'd be good to throw into this hot sauce. It asked for garlic, and I was like, okay, let's do garlic, but let's roast it. So it's going to be really pasty. This isn't going to take too long for me. Just going to mash this up a little bit. The nice thing about this sauce is that everything's getting blended after it ferments, so we don't have to worry too much about things looking nice and neat and organized. It's all getting mixed up, blended super fine. And I think a lot of sauces, I shouldn't say a lot, some of the more popular sauces do get strained out. Makes them thinner and gets out all those seeds, so they're not as it's not as spicy. But I'm trying to go in between spicy, and just more like with the focus on flavor. Some hot sauces you want to be as hot as humanly possible, which is cool. Nothing wrong with that. I like a good face melting sauce every once in a while. Nice to just have like that extra kick. Love all the feelings and emotions you get when you're eating a super spicy thing. It's almost like hallucinating a little bit. You're tripping out. You're sweating, crying. You're saying random shit. You're just losing your goddamn mind a little bit. So that's fun. But I do want to kind of create a balanced sauce that's going to have a lot of like uncharacteristic flavors. That's where the fermentation process comes in. It's going to have a little bit of the funk, which I'm a big fan of, not just in my ears, but in the mouth. So yeah, just looking forward to how this turns out. Fermentation is always a little bit intimidating because you don't want to have everything go bad. I mean, it's going to go bad. That's fermentation. But you want it to go bad in the right way. So it is a little intimidating. If it goes bad and then it's a waste, there's nothing you can do, right? It's going to go right into the garbage. There's not a lot of things you can repurpose if you get a bad ferment. But it is a science, and you got to just trust that science. And the science comes from the salt. So with the right ratio of salt to ingredients, and in this case, the water is important. That's what everything you're seeing so far is going to be sitting in. Yeah, that's, yeah, bam. Bam, 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 bam. Bam. I don't know if I'm allowed to say bam. I might get sued. Please don't sue me, Emerald. I don't want to take your bam. I want to say bam, but I don't want to take it from you, Anyway, the only fermenting I've done outside of tepache is kombucha, and kombuchas are really safe ferment because you've got your SCOBY, and if you've got a fully healthy, well-developed SCOBY, there's just no way to screw that up because that's your little buddy that's just keeping that fermentation balanced and making those cultures just develop. I haven't gotten into any like alcohol making. It's a whole other level of fermentation that seems to be unpredictable at times. If you're getting into like the distills, but stuff like beer and wine, I mean, that stuff's kind of volatile too. I know people who have to throw that stuff out because it's just not, it just doesn't work. But when working with yeast, it again is like, yeah, your little buddy in fermentation it's making sure that it's at least gonna go the way that you want it to. So with this, our little buddy is salt, similar to a sauerkraut in that regard. Yeah. Salting cabbage, it's all about getting the weight of your salt to the amount of cabbage that you're using, and it just brings out a lot of the moisture, pulls moisture out of the cabbage, which softens it, and then also just protects the cabbage from any unwanted bacteria because it's salt, and that's what salt does. It keeps the bacteria from getting into your stuff. Cured meat, another example. You're incorporating your little buddy in that one is nitrates, which is a form of salt. It's got all kinds of different names. Pink salt, though I don't like calling it pink salt because pink salt gets mixed up with like Himalayan pink salt, and that's not the same thing. Yes, it's pink in color, but the nitrate is just like a special salt that not just preserves your food from any unwanted bacteria, but it also prevents your food from that meat from oxidizing and turning a funky color. Like that's why cured meat charcuterie stuff it's always so red because those nitrates are keeping the meat from oxidizing, turning brown. So I'm just cutting these up. It asked me to cut them up. I didn't think it was going to be too necessary, but maybe just to incorporate the water and salt brine better. Maybe that's just something I have to do. Looks good. Well, thanks. Mark, this isn't up your alley, though. We're talking about fermentation today. That's definitely faux pas in your realm. But I mean, with hot sauces and that kind of fermentation process, it's not as weird as it might be kombucha, or I don't know, even those really like funky fermented wines have a lot of an intense flavor that people aren't necessarily wanting out of those things. More of a niche market type of thing. So hot sauce, I'm trying to think of like sriracha. That's a fermented hot sauce. That's where it's got kind of like that rich, more of a rich flavor, I would say, than Frank's or Tabasco. Now, I could be wrong. Tabasco could be fermented, but from my understanding, I think it's just like boiled Tabasco peppers. And they're a special pepper because they only grow on Avery Islands, just south of Louisiana. Yeah, that's where the Tabasco plant is. It's on an island. Super cool. And yeah, I think that's just boiled peppers with a little bit of garlic and maybe onion. And that's why it's thin, because it doesn't thicken, it's strained out. Because anytime you're incorporating and blending all of these ingredients together, you're just developing a thicker product. Which, yeah, just depends on if that's what you want or not. This I want to be thick. I want it to have like a good in the bottle when it's coming out. You know what I mean? Yeah, so that's just the idea of that I want with this. It's got, like, it's a sauce still, right? Like, it's not thin. To me, sauces are thicker. It's going to provide more to the tacos, I believe. And I just like that visual appeal of the sauce being like thick enough to stand on its own and just like be presented on top of whatever you're eating. Because if it's too runny, you're just dumping it out, and then there's too much. You're not even in control of that at that point. Definitely not the way I want to do it. So I should also recommend that you got to wear gloves when working with this stuff. If you don't work with gloves with peppers, and even like, I'm talking even jalapenos, you should be wearing gloves. Maybe jalapenos aren't that spicy to most people, but your hands and how they soak up the oils from jalapenos, like I've had like nights, I shouldn't say nights, I had one night in particular, that's how I learned my lesson. I don't always learn my lesson once, but with this one I did. Jalapenos that I was working with, I mean, I was working with serranos too, I think, maybe even Thai chilies. We were working on a bunch of pepper stuff, and yeah, just woke up in the middle of the night, felt like I had 3rd-degree burns on my hands, and there's nothing you can do. Like, you can Google, there's a ton of quote-unquote hacks, you want to call them hacks, those life hacks, those don't work with peppers. You just got to deal with it. Trust me, I had soaked my hands in milk, my hands were in yogurt, I'd rubbed olive oil on my hands, all this stuff's meant to kind of neutralize the oils, but I mean, this was hours after the fact, so that stuff was like soaked into my hands. And yeah, I just spent a night awake with burning hot hands. Fucking terrible. So ever since then, I don't care what pepper it is. If it's a spicy pepper, that is, I'm definitely, going to be dealing with gloves all the time. Hey, yeah, that's right. We don't want no runny sauces here. We want runny noses from the heat. We don't want runny sauces. Almost done these peppers. So habaneros were the only thing I could find from our suppliers that's available fresh. A lot of hot sauce makers use dried peppers because they're just more readily available. There's a better variety of them. And it's as simple as soaking them in water, freshens them back up again. You can use that water in your ingredient, or the sauce that you're making, or I'm not sure what else, but that's kind of like the not traditional, but just like the more usual approach with hot sauces, especially in Winnipeg. You know, we're kind of stuck with what we can get. There is a couple of local farms that do beautiful hot peppers, not just hot, sweet ones as well. And yeah, just waiting for probably mid-July. Hopefully, we'll be able to bring those in. One in particular, Wild Earth Farms. Shout outs to Jeff and his family at Wild Earth Farms. Incredible work there that they do, amazing products, and yeah, they do quite a few hot peppers fresh that they plant. Cayenne in particular, that's the only time I've made a hot sauce before was out of cayenne, fresh ones. And that was a really simple process, though. I didn't want to mess around. Again, I was scared of the fermentation, so I didn't want to waste this pound of beautiful peppers that I got. So I just did the simple Tabasco method of boiling it and just blitzing it after that. There's a little bit of onion, a little bit of garlic. Might have threw a squeeze of lime juice in there or something. But yeah, I wanted to keep it super simple. And a lot of hot sauces get thrown in fruits, tons of herbs, other vegetables. There's obviously a million different hot sauces out there, so a lot of people have been doing different things to kind of make themselves stand apart, which is great. That's awesome. But I just find that it maybe gives too much. It gives too much flavor that might not necessarily be as practical for the things that you want to use for it. Like, you know, a great thing about hot sauce is like it's like ketchup. It can go on anything. Like, it can literally go on anything. And I think when you start getting into those fruit-based hot sauces, you've got to be kind of more selective into which pots or which things you're using them for. So this, because we're going to be doing so many tacos here, like, you know, it's been a month. We've already rotated into 9. Hopefully we're going to have another 9 coming out by 2 weeks from now. Maybe another, I don't know. You know, hoping for at least 10 different tacos a month. It'd be nice to do more just with the current restrictions right now. 10's a good number to kind of just base it all off of. Anyway, yeah, so I want to make sure that whatever sauce we have is like it's accessible and good for every taco that we're using. And then really, like, the sauces are only going to be more focused on the heat levels. So if somebody wants to still have a sauce, like, I'm thinking about doing a green-based one today as well, but it's not going to be that. It's going to be a jalapeno one, I guess. Yeah, like a jalapeno, more of like the mildest sauce that we'll probably have. I want to do a serrano one, which I might get around to today. Oh, it's the one I want to work on next, so hopefully I get around to it. But yeah, so jalapeno and then serrano, and then this habanero one. See, I might do one hotter still. One that's really just like going to melt your face. But for now, I just want to have like a general 3 sauces that are just like accessible for anybody at any level of heat that they're comfortable with. And then we can look at making some funkier ones later. But especially if we're going to have like an established hot sauce kind of like catalog for people to come by and pick this stuff up by the bottle. I just want to make sure that it's as accessible as possible. And the focus is more on the heat levels and just the flavors for each of those sauces, rather than trying to make it too crazy. Okay, I'm just going to look at a quick recipe book here to see if I'm doing this right. So it wants me to, yeah, just submerge all of a cooling sauce. A cooling sauce. No, I haven't thought about using a cooling sauce. Yeah, wait, no, we do have cooling sauces. That's what crema is for, or sour cream. Like a dairy-based sauce. That's the cooling sauce. That's kind of the thing that's meant to mellow out. You'd have a spicy thing. Like our chorizo taco had a good amount of heat to it, so we threw crema on top of that to kind of like balance that out, make it a bit more easygoing. So yeah, there you go. We have thought of cooling sauces. I don't know why we're not calling them coolings or cool sauce. But actually, yeah, I am looking into a guacamole salsa. Our salsa verde is tomatillo based, and I had just found out that it's very common in Mexico to chop up avocado and mix that into your salsa. So yeah, actually, there was a taco that's going to be coming up, the barbacoa. So I got some beautiful beef bones in. Basically, I got beef ribs. I'm going to cook those in the oven until they like fall apart, like almost like a shredded beef dish. Barbacoa, that's what that's called, and that's going to have that avocado salsa verde on top of it. Yeah, so that's coming. The guacamole salsa is coming. So over here, let me grab it. This is my saltwater brine. I'll tell you, it's no secret. For every cup of water, you want 1.25 teaspoons of salt. Apparently, that's the go-to mix ratio, because too little salt and the bacteria is going to run rampant and ruin our salsa or our hot sauce. Too much salt is going to kill everything in here and essentially just create it's not going to create anything. It's still going to create a hot sauce. If anything, I guess you'd want it to be oversalted than undersalted, because there's no way that you could save an undersalted hot sauce in fermentation, because once the bacteria is in there and the mold's developed, you're screwed. So yeah, if anything, like obviously you don't want to oversalt it either, because then it's never actually going to truly ferment. But at least if it's not fermenting, then that means it's still good. Like if this after a week hasn't developed any foam or any natural carbonation occurring in it, then that means we've oversalted it. But that doesn't mean it's gone bad. It just means that the salt has taken over, killed all the bacteria, and now we're just left with a regular hot sauce, I guess, because it was never able to develop the fermentation flavors that we want. So, yeah, I guess that's something we said about that. Anyway, 1 cup of water, 1.25 teaspoons of salt. And I used sea salt for this. I normally use kosher salt for everything, but I know sometimes kosher salt maybe isn't best for fermentation. So, yeah, this sea salt was like the one that they said to go with. Himalayan pink salt was also recommended. But yeah, we already had this in the kitchen, so I'm just going to dump all this into this water mix right now. And I did put it on the stove at a very low temperature, just to bring the water up to, more than cold, so that the salt could dissolve. But yeah, I don't think that's a necessary step. If your water's room temp, it should dissolve the salt as you whisk it. But in this case, just to make sure that the salt was fully dissolved, I did heat up a little bit. But it's back down. It's back down to room temp now, and I can just taste this now, just to tell you like a little bit. It's very salty. It's like ocean salt content right now. This is kind of like the salt equivalent that I would want in pasta water to make sure that your pasta is being seasoned as it cooks. So that's something to compare it to, I guess. I mean, we have the ratio, so we know that the science is there. But yeah, I guess if you wanted to know, you're looking for a water that's like ocean salty. yeah, I'm just going to drop all this in here. Trying to not make a huge mess, so I'm just going to use my hand for the first bit. And maybe it's good that all the peppers are going to be on the bottom, and then I will just continue to dump the rest of it, the carrots, garlic, onion on top. You know what, I might still give it a mix with a spoon. And then the other important thing is, in order for no bad molds to develop, oh, this is spicy. Get some of that in my nose. Yeah, you want all of this to be fully submerged. Because yeah, otherwise it's just going to be product that's sitting out at room temp and it's going to go bad. Again, incorporating that bacteria that we don't want. Okay, so here it is. Just a mix of habanero peppers, carrot, red onion, roasted garlic. Yeah, the salt water's there. You know, I don't even know if this needs a stir. It's pretty fast. Yeah, I'm not too worried about it. Yeah. I'm not too worried about much of it sticking out. What I am going to do is a trick people use for fermentation is to kind of create a weight on top of this. An example, like let's just say this is in a glass jar, you know, like only about like this big, and you want it to like just pack it down. You would take a Ziploc bag, fill that with water, and that's your weight. The weight with it, that's just pushing it down to make sure that everything inside the jar is submerged. So yeah, I guess to kind of replicate that, I'm just going to grab a little bit of plastic wrap and then put that over top of it. So yeah, I'm just going around the edges, pushing it all down. This is the same thing I'd be doing with pickling, just to make sure that all the vegetables and stuff in the pickling liquid are pressed down and fully submerged. So that's that. I think the next step is it's going to want me to put a lid on top of this, which I thought we might kind of want air flow to create or assist with that fermentation. But no, cover lightly with a lid. Okay, and place in. Oh no. Place in a cool, dark place for 5 to 7, or until the brine appears slightly cloudy. And then what we're looking for in those 5 to 7 days is a cloudy brine, the liquid's cloudy, with a little bubbling and activity. And you can always ferment longer for more flavor, but the longer you're fermenting, the more that the heat of the pepper is reduced. So I'm trying to find a sweet spot where it's still pretty hot, but it's also got that fermentation flavor. And then to basically stop the fermentation process from happening after that, we're going to like put it in the fridge. We'll get this into like smaller containers with lids on top, and then refrigerate, and then at that temperature, at fridge temp, it doesn't really ferment anymore. I mean, if we had a lid off of it, it would still technically be fermenting really slowly, like over the course of months. It would still be like slowly fermenting, but we'll see how long we have this for. I'm not even sure how many hot sauce bottles this is going to make, but yeah, for now, this is a good start. 10 pounds of peppers, so. Yeah, so let me I think what's going to happen now is I'm going to put this away. Got to find a dark room, which isn't too hard to find in a curling club. Yeah, and I'm going to start working on the next sauce. But yeah, I guess in the meantime, I'll just like pause for now, end the stream, and yeah, now you can see how this looks. In about 5 days, no, in 5 days, I'm going to check it. And yeah, hopefully we'll have another video of it being blended. But yeah, I should be back on in a bit, working on our next sauce. But yeah, for now, I'm just going to put this away and say thank you for watching. Thank you for tuning in. Mixtape Cooking is cooking. I'm glad you enjoyed the narrative. Thanks for watching, Mark. It's nice to be able to spend a little bit of time, since there is time, to kind of explain the process of these things. It's not always just a rush, especially with this stuff. This takes a lot of time. And yeah, it's good to have that narrative for you and for me. I feel like I'm learning a little bit more as I'm talking about it. So, yeah. Anyway, thanks for tuning in. Catch me back on in like probably 15, 20 minutes, and we'll be working on the next sauce. So, yeah, thanks for watching. And talk to you soon.